Opinions expressed on this radio program do not necessarily reflect the views of this radio station.
My friends and I always tune into the Todd L. Levitt Law Show. Todd is entertaining, informative, and always delivers the goods.
Todd might not tell you what you want to hear, but he's going to tell you what you need to hear. And all you got to do is listen.
Hold on, Todd. Don't let go. It's time for the Todd L. Levitt Law Show.
Welcome to the Todd L. Levitt Marijuana Law Podcast. Good morning, good evening, and good night. I'm yours truly, Attorney Todd L. Levitt, broadcasting and podcasting in the Black Diamond Group mothership in the middle of the mitten in a beautiful white, cold, nutrient field with my good friend Craig Russell, the muscle. Here comes the poem. Wait, no poem required. How you doing, Craig?
I am fan-flippin-tastic. How are you, Todd?
I am absolutely just bouncing off the walls right now due to the fact that we opened up the show of all shows with one of my all-time top 10 hair bands, Rat. I Want a Woman. What a great tune just to destroy this, to open up the show with and just destroy it out there.
I like a lot of Rat. I'm not a huge, you are a far more of a hard rock guy than I am. I mean, I like some of it. I like Van Halen and stuff like that, but you like a lot of that, a lot of the like Shinedown and Disturbed and a lot of those harder rock bands. But Rat is one of those bands from the 80s that I could probably listen to Rat all day long. If you said to me, hey, we've got to have a Rat listening party, I'd be okay with that.
Well, if you want to get into a little bit more hardcore, I would probably turn on Seven Dust or Korn. Not that that's hardcore rock by no means, but I just like Limp Bizkit, which some will argue is not rock, and just go crazy. The Who, if you really want to just jump off the walls, turn on some Who. Any Who album is just fantastic. I don't think the Who get the Who.
Who?
Exactly.
Who?
You got it, Roger Daltrey. Come on,
I'm just
Craig. You know who I'm talking
I'm
about.
kidding.
You're 100 years old.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about.
But would you agree with me on the Who? We should play some Who on this show more often.
I would agree with that. There's a lot of things we should play in this show more often. I would agree.
We need to play the Who. Next week, folks, the Who.
The Who. Ooh, we'll have to find a Who Christmas song because Christmas is 5 days away. Ooh. Okay. No. Okay.
We decided after last week's show when we lost our entire listening audience after I was singing Danny Zuko from Grease.
Yeah.
John Travolta's role. We lost a lot of listeners at that point.
So in other words, you're saying is we need to sing more or not sing at all?
Sing more.
There we go.
The Craig and Todd Christmas musical.
There we go.
Featured My Little Drummer Boy.
Who are you, little drummer boy? Okay, enough of that.
But I came across, thanks to my firstborn, I like bluegrass. Do you like bluegrass?
I got to be in the mood for it. There's not much I don't like, but I have to be in the mood for it.
Sitting around a bonfire on a summer evening, listening to some bluegrass, just kicking back. I'm a city guy, so I'm trying to imagine what this would have been like.
I was going to say this is probably we're like polar opposite from that right now. Middle of December, Christmas, snow on the ground is not sitting around the bonfire.
So why not think about it?
I agree.
I would be playing this group I came across, and they have been around for a minute, They're called the Dead South.
Okay.
And In Hell, I'll Be Good is a song that I was introduced to. This group is just outstanding. So what do you say we introduce them to our listening audience here on the show, Craig?
To the Dead South. Here we go.
I see my redhead mess bed, tear shed, queen bee squeeze. The stage smells, tells, hells, bells, misspells, knocks me on my knees. It didn't hurt, flirt, blood, squirt, stuff, shirt like me on a tree. After I count down 3 rounds in hell, I'll be in good company.
I'm telling you, Craig, I just, just the rhythm, the instruments, the words of the song, it feels good. I better listen a little bit closer to the words of the song, but I really like that sound with the banjo.
You know what that kind of reminds me of? At about 9 o'clock on a Saturday night, and like you said, the bonfire going. You got one of those mason jar mugs filled with some lemonade and maybe something else too. Maybe some people are passing some stuff around. I don't know anything about any of that, but it's just got that summer kind of feel to it. Not too hot, not too muggy, not a lot of mosquitoes. Maybe it's earlier in the summer, like in June or something like that. That's got that feel to it, you know?
Yeah, I subscribe to them on YouTube, along with, again, catching all of your latest videos, That Fast Food Guy on YouTube.
That Fast Food. Hey, thanks for remembering the name. That's awesome.
Yeah,
I appreciate
That Fast
that.
Food Guy on YouTube. And be sure to subscribe to my shameless plug, Todd Levitt, Michigan
Yes.
Mountain Biking. I
Yes.
changed the name of the channel to Michigan Mountain Biking.
Oh, okay.
Come spring and summer of 2021, I will be featuring all of the trails throughout the state of Michigan that we shred the gnar on, location, amenities, difficulties. So we'll have some really cool GoPro vids coming out in the spring and summer. But Craig, we are a law show.
Yeah.
We do have law to get to. That is
good.
a fact.
Oh,
Yeah.
good. What?
Very timing appropriate.
Okay.
So I received an email this week from one of our listeners who happened to be listening in Colorado.
Oh, wow.
Via podcast.
Okay.
Hey, Todd, can you and Craig discuss, to the best of your ability, in quotes, I like that, and this comes from Denver, can businesses require employees to get a COVID-19 vaccine? That's
Oh.
appropriate for the timing. Yeah, can
Yes, it
businesses
is.
require employees to get a COVID-19 vaccine? And so we're going to talk about that.
Yep.
And another issue, when I was looking into that I came across, was the issue of some states objecting to a requirement that they share information on vaccine recipients with the Center for Disease Control and Prevention, basically the federal government. So that's another issue coming up, which is also timely.
Very timely.
And then in 2021, we're just going to briefly touch on minimum wage and what are some of the states that are increasing minimum wage. And I'm going to ask you, Craig, and the listeners to think back in the next segment to your first job, folks. Where was it and how much were you paid
Okay.
or not paid?
Okay.
So now we're going to talk about that. We've got the strain of the show, the complaint of the week, and much more, Craig, right here on the Todd L. Levitt Law Show with my fake radio voice.
Sounds like it's a big full-pack show, Todd.
It is a full-pack show, and this is, again, my fake radio voice, and you can thank Platinum Punch for that one, folks.
Oh, Platinum Punch.
Platinum Punch.
Platinum Punch, okay.
Platinum Punch.
You know, we used to, being in radio, there's some people who do the fake radio voice, and they really, really play it up. And you can almost tell that we call them pukers because they sound like they're puking all over the control board. Hey, everybody, guys and girls, how you doing out there in Radio Land? All that stuff.
Where does that come from? Where does that actually come from?
You know what I think? I think a lot of it is
that?
No. I think people get in their mind what they think an on-air personality or a DJ should sound like because they've heard it. Maybe they heard it back in the 60s and 70s when that's how everyone talked. And, you know, it's way different than that now. It's more like what you and I are doing, having a conversation. But some people get it in their mind. You know, it's like, okay, did you ever watch Friends, the TV show?
You know, again, if it happened to be on and I was with somebody that was watching Friends, I would be forced to watch Friends.
Okay. There's an episode of Friends where Phoebe, you know who Phoebe is, Lisa Kudrow?
She was the blonde.
Yes, she was the kooky blonde, where she teaches Joey, who is the Italian, played by Matt LeBlanc, to try and teach him how to speak French. And every time she would actually say an actual sentence in French, you know, parlez-vous, and he would go, alouf, alouf. He would act like he's saying it, like he's really trying to say it, but he couldn't get ever past what he thought French should be, not what she was actually saying. And she got so frustrated. And that's the same kind of thing. I think this is what people who think, guys, you know, everybody, DJs on the radio all talk like this. Hey, everybody. That's what they think it all should be, but they can't get it through their head that that's not really what it is anymore. Now, maybe there are some people who still do that, and you can laugh at them heartily, but so your fake radio voice at least is better than all of that. Let's put it that way. So,
I mean, I grew up listening to Doug Podell, one of my all-time favorite radio personalities. You know, love Doug Podell and Arthur P. and Mike Staff and all those great Detroit personalities. And
Mike and Drew. You remember Mike and Drew?
Drew and Mike.
Yeah.
Drew and Mike they still are great. Great guys, great men. But, boy, those, you know.
And back in the day on 96.3, the Electrifying Mojo and people like that, and Kevin Saunderson,
at the Midnight Funk Association.
Yeah, exactly. Right. All that stuff back in the 80s.
Destroying it with Parliament Funkadelic. How's that for a throwback?
Yeah, no kidding, man. No kidding. This is going to be one of those throwback kind of shows because later on we're going to talk about minimum wage and what we made at our first jobs, and that was back in the 80s as well. But we should probably, before we take a break, is our complaint of the week going to be a lengthy one, or can you do it pretty succinctly?
Craig Russell, I am happy to say that you and Big Hair both engulp the complaint of the week.
Uh-oh. Then maybe we should wait and do that in segment 2 of the show then. It sounds like this could be lengthy.
No, it's not lengthy at all. It's something I think every single human and then some on planet Earth can relate to. So
what is
something that you and Big Hair do often.
Okay.
So I'll be texting you.
All right.
And I'll be texting Big Hair. And I'll be texting you and I'll be texting Big Hair, not at the same time. And then I'll say, you know, why am I texting? What happened to just talking on the phone?
Sure.
It's just better. So, you know, I'll text you, you'll text back, and then I'll call you and you don't pick up the phone. And Big Hair does the same thing. And look, if you're texting somebody, why wouldn't you just talk on the phone? And why don't you pick it up, Craig, when we're having this in-depth text conversation about the show or whatever you and I talk about because we're close friends on and off the air, and then I call you and you don't pick up. What is that? Why does that happen? Can you explain that to me?
I can explain it to you. Sometimes you'll be texting me, and then I will set my phone down, and my daughter will say, hey, can you come in my room for a minute? And her and I sit down and start having, you know, discussions about life for an hour. Next thing I know, I come back, and I see you've called me 3 times.
No,
and
I'm talking about a text, you know, good conversation. Big Hair does the same thing. He's not here to defend himself. So to all of those out there, Craig, I'm not accepting.
So we're just going to lambaste him because he's not here to defend himself.
That's not an affirmative defense. I'm sorry. The jury's never going to get an instruction on that defense, nor will it be approved. Don't even draft a jury instruction there. So again, not happening, Craig. If we're texting, just pick up the phone, please. We can cover a lot more than just going back and forth with text messaging. So
I would.
That's what I wanted to say.
I would agree with
It's like
that.
having to text your kids in the living room.
No,
when your kids won't communicate with you folks out there. How many of you can relate to this? But yet, you could text them across the dinner table. Like,
Can you see my hand up? I'll regularly be sitting in my room watching TV, and I'll get a text from my daughter who is 60 feet away in her bedroom, and it's like, really? You couldn't have just gotten up out of bed to tell me something, or you couldn't have, whatever. But it's like, yeah, I know exactly what you're saying. My hand is high in the air for that one.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, and my other complaint is through another drive-through complaint whereby I was going through one of the fast food restaurants to get something hot and full of caffeine as if I need it ever.
Yeah, ever.
My DNA produces caffeine without me doing anything here. But there was a lady in front of my truck that failed to order through the mic, instead pulled up trying to order and screwed everything up. I ended up getting my order. So when I pull up, they end up handing me someone else's. So that kind of like, can't people just simply order where they're supposed to order and follow these easy instructions? So, but again, just something I wanted to point out. Craig, I'm sure we have to go to break right now, don't we?
We do, fake radio Todd voice.
This is my fake radio voice for sure. When I answer the phone at the law office, people say, "Hey, may I speak to Todd Levitt?" And I'm saying, "Hey, it is Todd. How are you?" And they say, "You don't sound like that on the radio." Well, not really.
You're done having
over.
You're done having a conversation with yourself.
Yeah, right.
We do have to take a break on the Todd Levitt Law Show. When we get back, I want to actually.
I'm going to text you, by the way, so we can communicate here.
Yeah, that's right. Because I can't. It's not like I can't.
Yeah,
see
because you're
you.
sitting right in front of me, and I can't
know.
communicate with you.
But I'll dive into a little bit of the fast food thing too when we get back from break. It's the Todd Levitt Law Show. We'll be right back.
Welcome back to the Todd L. Levitt Law Show, whereby I actually was able to communicate with my co-host, the handsome and talented Craig Russell, the muscle, the hustle. We were able to speak directly without having to utilize our phones, Craig. So
it's pretty amazing.
Thank you for that human interaction.
Pretty amazing, isn't it? Isn't that crazy?
It's kind of sad that all the big stores, Walmart, Meijer, they're all decreasing humans and bringing aboard self-checkout computers that still require a human to oversee it. So figure that one out.
I know. They got to save money somehow. They're not making $37 billion.
I'll pay a little bit more for my toilet paper, folks, if I can get more people employed in these checkout lines.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
So I'm going to complain a little bit about fast food. Are you that guy, Todd, in the fast food line? When you pull up to the window and they hand you your bag, do you sit there and inspect it to make sure they got everything right, or do you just put it in the seat next to you and take off and then get to where you're going and then find out they forgot an order of fries or they forgot a sandwich or something?
Okay,
and you get mad?
It depends. Okay, so my answer is it depends on who's taking the order, because the person taking the order is not necessarily the person who's going to hand you your food and take your money.
That's
and
right.
Also, folks, be aware that fast food restaurants, these men and women on the inside at the windows, they're timed.
Yeah.
Whether it's a franchise or corporate, they are timed. And that's where the pressure comes from. Hello, can I take your order, please? I mean, the pressure is unbelievable for these young men and women. So it depends on the level of communication. And when I approach the window, who's taking the money and handing it back? Whether, the level of awareness that of their job, it's not necessarily their fault. They may just be handing you that bag, whereby somebody else behind them is putting it together. And yes, I do check it.
See, I always feel if there's like
check it.
if there's like 7 or 8 cars behind me, I feel pressured to just take the bag and go. But if I've got like nobody behind me, I'll sit there and actually look at it. Or if I have a complicated order, if I order something pretty easy, 1 sandwich, 1 fry, and a drink, I'm usually probably pretty good with it. But if I order like 3 sandwiches and 2 fries and I need some sauces and blah, 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 I will actually look and to see if what it is. But I always feel pressured, that same kind of pressure, if there's a bunch of cars waiting behind me. I always feel bad about doing that. But
I understand your feelings towards fellow drive-through fast food recipients, but I'll check.
Yeah.
I don't want to call out. I do not want to call out any fast food restaurant. But Craig, that is sort of a nice transition into our first topic of discussion here on the Law Show.
Okay.
Can businesses require employees to get a COVID-19 vaccine, Craig Russell? What say you?
Yes. Yes, they
You
can.
say yes.
I say yes.
I had no idea. I am not. I do not specialize in employment law.
Okay.
So when this email came through from a listener on our podcast in Colorado, I had to look it up. And basically what I found was in the past, employers have been allowed to require safety measures such as vaccines. There are certain exceptions, Craig, for some employees, but for the most part, that is correct. The answer is likely to be yes, with an asterisk, though.
Yeah.
I would say.
Well, I was going to say people who maybe for religious beliefs or possibly have some kind of medical issue to where they can't get a vaccine or something like that, then they might be exempt. But for the most part, most people, you can be required by your employer to get a vaccine. And if you don't want to do it, it's grounds for termination.
Yeah, and you really need to check with the EEOC, the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission, which in the past has said that employers can require flu vaccines as long as employees can seek an exception for medical reasons under the American with Disabilities Act or for religious reasons, under the Civil Rights Act. But you got to look at state laws. Collective bargaining agreements would also have to be considered for employees. And then it really transitions into our other issue today, whether, the CDC requiring states to sign agreements that they will share information that includes the names, birth dates, and other information of people getting vaccinated for COVID-19. So those are 2 important issues that we are dealing with in real time.
And you just brought up something. I wonder if, especially, where we are, where the show is being recorded in Michigan, we are a union state, especially with the United Auto Workers, et cetera, et cetera. I wonder if that has been drafted into labor laws and collective bargaining between, say, like the auto workers and, with the big 3 auto workers and companies like that. Because you would think that would be something that would be collectively bargained, is having to get any kind of a vaccine, whether it's a flu shot or a COVID-19 shot or anything like that. I wonder if that's something that they do.
Yeah, and we should get Matt Green, attorney at law, Matt Green from Alabama, on the show to talk about this in the next week or 2.
I agree, and plus we should talk to Matt. We haven't talked to Matt in forever.
We haven't talked to Matt in a couple of years. Big LSU fan. So for all those listeners out there, you are absolutely going to want to tune in for the Matt Green, attorney at law. He's a former judge, prosecutor, just a great all-around guy. He's a defense attorney and does other types of law in Alabama. We met Matt a few years back, and he definitely will have something to say about this. It's always good to get his perspective. But Craig, so far from my research, the EEOC has not provided guidance to employers on COVID-19 vaccine requirements. Now, I run a small law firm. We have, of course, Jen, who oversees everything here.
Sure.
Brilliant, talented.
Sure.
And then we have outstanding law clerks. We have Jaden and Brianne, who do just a fantastic job. Jaden Robinson, Brianne Shattuck, just fantastic. And then we have other attorneys of counsel. But I run a small law firm, and we've taken precautions to keep ourselves, healthy and as much as possible. But I'm on the fence. I would not tell my employees. Again, I don't have 25, 50, 100 employees who then have kids and families, so I don't have the same concerns. But I'm not going to require the employees of my small firm to get vaccinated. There's a lot that goes into getting vaccinated and people, how they feel about it and so on and so forth. And I'm just not getting involved with my employees on that end.
And
they
plus,
know if they're not feeling well to stay home as it is.
And plus, on the other side of it, it's not like you are actually doing a lot of face-to-face meetings with clients these days, I'm assuming. Is that correct?
We're not doing any. It's all through phones and email. But again, I'm a small employer. I'm not discussing whether or not the public should go out and get vaccinated. We're not here to discuss the pros and cons of yes, you should or no, you should not. We're just talking about whether or not, if you're an employee, can your employer require you to, or you could lose your job. And yeah, I mean, the answer is yes. They could require you to get vaccinated, yes. From everything that I've read now, we're not employment lawyers, so don't rely on anything we are telling you. Contact an employment lawyer. But what would, Craig, if you oversaw employees and you had to make that decision, where would you land on that?
You don't want to know my opinion because my opinion is probably.
I do.
Well, I'm going to tell you. I would strongly suggest. I'm going to strongly suggest anyone get the vaccine, and here's why. Because there are a lot of people out there who, much the same way with their opinions of wearing masks and social distancing and stuff, they're turning this into a political thing. The flu shot isn't political. Most everyone gets the flu shot, and if you don't get the flu shot and you get the flu and die from it, that's your own problem. You had the chance to prevent that and you didn't do it. I think it's the same thing in this respect. If it was me, I don't know if I would necessarily force people to, but I would strongly suggest it. Because I think it's the more people who are vaccinated, the better chance we have to eradicate this disease. And we already see what this has done. It's killed over 300,000 people in our country, more than people have died. People who died in World War II in this country have died now from COVID-19. Matter of fact, I saw a stat that Americans who have all fought and died in all the wars in the past in the 20th century, we've had more people die from COVID-19 in this year than had died in all these wars. So I think you really, I don't know if I would hold a gun to somebody's head and say, you have to get the vaccine, but I would strongly suggest people do, because that's how we're going to get past this.
Yeah, I'm not discussing the politics of getting vaccinated or not vaccinated. I've gotten flu shots, and at some point I may get the vaccine myself. But I think as an employee, we're talking as an employer, though.
Right.
I'm talking as an employer. And again, I cannot compare myself to, employers who have 10, 15, 25, 1,000 employees. There's a lot of consideration there. But I'm just saying, with my small office, there's no requirement here. And even look at it, we've talked about this week in and week out. I've had very close family members of mine who have had COVID, and there's some close family members of mine who currently have COVID. And I wish them all well. We love you, prayers. And we want everyone to be healthy and safe out there, for sure.
That's right. And of course, you having a small business, I think bigger businesses, and especially it depends on what you do. If you work from home, maybe you don't necessarily need to get it because of that reason. But if you work at, let's say you work at a big box store, you work where you come in contact with a lot of different members of the public, I would think you'd want to get it. I would think you would want to protect yourself. Yeah, it's not 100% fail-safe, but 95% is a pretty good one. I think, and don't hold me to this, but I think that effectiveness is more so than the flu vaccine is. So, why wouldn't you want to get it? I would think you would want to, but...
Yeah, absolutely. Again, you're 102. You need to get the.
I'm going to be. And you know what? When it's available for me, I am first in line, arm ready to go, because I want to go. You know what? I would like to go to a baseball game this summer. I would like to go to a hockey game. I would like to go out to dinner again.
All my mountain bike races were canceled last year. Are you
everything was canceled.
How about just go sit in a movie theater again?
Exactly.
Go to. I would just like the restaurants to open.
Exactly.
Again, I cannot state
exactly.
week in and week out how that just pisses off my noggin. When I drive around town, I walk into one of these stores, there's hundreds and hundreds of employees in there, and yet the small mom and pop store or any restaurant is shut down. The COVID's already out there, unfortunately. Okay, people, even with the restaurants closed, they're contracting it. They're coming down with COVID. I know this firsthand. I just mentioned it. I don't see why you cannot open up these restaurants. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a scientist. I'm just going by what I see. Craig, do you see what I see out there?
Oh, I totally see it, and I know why they're closed.
It's Christmas time.
I know.
People want to eat out. Restaurants are doing fine.
I know.
With social distancing. They were seating you apart. They were, limiting who was in there. Again, I'm not getting into the politics of this on either side. This is just me as a citizen of the state in which we live in, making observations, it's been rough on these men and women and all the employees. And that's something that's a nice transition. We're going to be talking about minimum wage here coming up. And also whether or not, Craig, you think that, the CDC requiring states to share information about all the recipients who are getting vaccinated for COVID-19, again, that goes to, individual rights and liberties and the constitutionality of it. I mean, how some may say how much information does the government need to have on me that they don't already have, and now they want to know my medical history. Again, I'm not getting into the politics of it. I'm just discussing the issue at hand, and giving people something to think about. So, and that's by no means am I telling people don't get vaccinated. I want everybody to be healthy. I want everything to go back to the way it's going to be here, sometime in the future.
And we will get to all of that because that's going to segue into that. That's a fancy way of saying that's moving into.
What does that mean, Craig?
Segue, that's going from one topic to the next.
Isn't segue something that you stand on and lean forward?
That's a different segue altogether.
Okay.
Spelled differently, too. But we've got to take a break on the Todd L. Levitt Law Show. We'll come right back and get into those topics.
Welcome back to the Todd L. Levitt Law Show. Wishing you, Craig Russell, Tuesday is your birthday.
Hey!
Happy birthday, Craig Russell.
Thank you. I will be 103 on Tuesday. I don't look a day over 102.
It's all that fast food on your YouTube channel.
Yeah,
fast food guy, all the cholesterol, for goodness sakes.
That's it. It is what it is. Hey, speaking of fast food, this brings us into our next topic. You were asking about what was your first job and what was the minimum wage on your first job? What was your first job and what was your first wage and what was minimum wage back then?
Well, let's see. I graduated high school, Berkeley High, 1983. I scooped ice cream when I was 11 and 12. I was a paper boy, so I had a paper route. I had to get up and, shuck some papers there.
So there was no minimum wage at the paper. You were getting
you deliver the papers, and then Sunday was always a big paper that you had to fill it in. You had to take the cover page with all the inserts and whatnot. Saturday was always a small paper, and I had one of those wagons that I would I had to go to Coolidge Avenue, 9 and Coolidge, the back of some store where all the paper boys would show up with their moms and their pops, and they would fill up our cars and vehicles with all depending upon how big your route was. I had a huge apartment complex, but my other job was scooping ice cream for $3.25 an hour.
So was that minimum wage when you were scooping ice cream for $3.25?
I don't know. That's just what I was paid when I was like 12 and 13. I was still a paper boy, but I was scooping ice cream, trying to make a little extra coinage for $3.25. Maybe it was $1.25 an hour. Actually, I can't. It was either $1.25 or $3.25. I'm thinking it was more like $1.25.
Well,
what about you, Craig?
I'm going to tell you
this was
some
in the 70s.
So my first job was in 1983. I was working at, we had a miniature golf course in Kalamazoo and Portage, which, by the way, Portage is where the Pfizer plant is, where the vaccine's coming from. My mom used to work for Pfizer. Back then it was called the Upjohn Company. Then they sold to a Swedish company called Pharmacia, and that company got absorbed by Pfizer. So I know exactly where that plant is. You just the pride I saw in all the news organizations that were in Portage, my hometown.
Very cool.
I knew
Very
exactly where that plant is and everything. That's where my mom used to work for 30 years. She worked for the Upjohn Company, which later became Pfizer.
So proud to be a Michigander for that.
Yes, very much so. So the place I worked at was a miniature golf course called Putt Putt Golf and Games, which is a franchise miniature golf course. And we sold, you sold miniature golf to people. You helped people. They had video games. So we had tokens, scooped ice cream, made hot dogs, stuff like that.
How much an hour?
$2.25 an hour. And I think that was minimum wage. Now think about that for a second. That was in 1983. It is now 30.
The year I graduated high school, actually.
And I graduated high school in 1988. So that was 37 years ago. In 37 years, minimum wage has gone up exactly $4 an hour to $7.25. From $3.25 to $7.25. $4 in 37 years.
What do you think it is in Michigan coming into 2021?
Isn't it like $9.30 or $9.20 or something like that an hour?
It's gonna be $9.87.
Okay, so it's $9.87. Okay,
yeah, $9.87.
All right. Yep. Well, the federal minimum wage is $7.25 an hour. I challenge anyone to work 100 hours a week at $7.25 an hour and see if you can survive.
That's why not everyone has the ability to do this. But I was a paper boy, so you got tips. Then,
yep.
I worked for Domino's for many years, H&R Pizza, but Domino's. A small stint at Little Caesars for a moment there on Coolidge. But I was always a waiter off and on. You always had cash coming in. So you got paid whatever the hourly rate was. I worked at Uno's Pizzeria, shucking pizzas. But how about Alaska? Let's start in the alphabet. Alaska is going to be $10.34 in 2021.
Good for them. That's a little more like.
It's still not a lot of money.
It's not, but it's better than $7.25.
Right. What about Arizona? What do you think Arizona?
Are they one of the?
You think they're over 10?
Are they one of the $15 states? I thought Arizona was a $15.
They're close. So.
Okay.
$12.15 an hour.
Okay, that's better.
And for tipped employees, $9 an hour.
Now, see, that's really
if
good.
If you're a waiter, you're going to get and so if you're in the state of Michigan, the question is, what's the tipped employee's wage?
Isn't it like $2 or $3 an hour?
$3.67.
Yeah, exactly. Wow. It's really low.
Pick a state, any state.
I'm going to pick the state of California. California.
Make sure you pronounce the R.
California.
So employers with 26 or more employees are going to have to comply with an increase. Get this, $14 an hour.
Good for them. Good for them.
Small employers with 25 employees or less, $13 an hour. So that's pretty good out there.
What's really encouraging is that, yes, there's minimum wages and stuff like this, but there's a lot of people, Target, one of them in particular, that are paying $15 an hour to everyone across the board. And I think that's, that's closer to a living wage than $7.25 an hour is. I really hope that changes at some point.
How about the great state of Ohio to the south of us? No Michigan-Ohio State game this year.
No.
Thoroughly disappointed as a Michigan fan. I'm not even going to state how I feel about that. Look, you could have let the second and third string players play. That was my view. But Ohio, Craig, they are only topping at $8.80 an hour. Tipped employees, if you're a waiter or you get tips, $4.40. And by the way, folks, once these restaurants open up, make sure and look. You're better off giving them a cash tip. I'll just leave it at that.
Yeah,
and I'm not asking or implying anybody should commit tax fraud or violations, but I'm just saying.
Well, whenever I end up paying like with a debit card, I will just pay the amount of the check and then I leave a cash tip because A, it doesn't screw with my trying to figure out how much money I've got. But B, when you get a cash tip, there's a good chance that person's going to get that tip. It's not going into a pool and everyone gets to pull out a month. If somebody provided me with a good service, I want to make sure they get rewarded for that.
Yeah, there's a lot of states
because they don't make a lot.
Absolutely. over tip these men and women as much as you can.
Yeah.
Please.
Yeah.
You know, when I delivered pizzas for Domino's, I delivered at 11 and Coolidge, right down by my high school. We were store 1029. And then I would also work in Madison Heights, right off of I-75, off of Barrington and 11 Mile. And I'll tell you, I used to deliver to Hazel Park, parts of Ferndale, all up and down Stevenson Highway, towards Oakland Mall, where I would also work at some point. And those blue-collar workers, the men and women who work
Tip
in
the
factories,
best. Tip
Craig,
the best.
best freaking tippers, the best.
Yep.
Then I waited tables in West Bloomfield. The worst.
Worst.
The worst.
Yep.
No, the worst.
I delivered pizza for a while too, and you would deliver a pizza. So I was living in Holland, not the country, but in Holland,
Oh
Michigan.
yeah, I forgot you moved overseas.
Yeah, thank you. No, Holland, Michigan. And there were some places where there's some really big houses, like right on Lake Michigan and stuff. You'd bring them a $25 order of pizza, and they give you like 50 cents. But then you'd tip to a house that looks like it literally is a drug house, and you'd bring them $17, and they'd say, here's 25, keep the change. What? Okay.
I'm telling
Yeah.
I agree. I used to
Yep.
deliver to these big
Yeah.
houses in Royal Oak.
They're the
before
worst.
Royal Oak took off.
Worst.
No, the big houses were just rooms, so they were just renting rooms. This was,
Oh, okay.
This
I
is
got
when
you.
I was still in
I got
high
you.
school. So
I got you.
like
Okay.
81, 82, 79. Let's see. I had to be old enough to drive. So
At least
yeah. So
80 or
in any
81.
event, these guys, everyone was great tippers. Royal Oak, Hazel Park, Ferndale, Madison Heights.
Those are
all
auto
over
workers.
DeQuinder,
Auto workers.
John
Auto
R.
workers. They're
Beautiful.
union auto workers. They know.
And you
they
know-
know. Yep.
And that's when it was 30 minutes or less, which caused, which
Oh, yeah.
I mean, really taught me how to become a NASCAR driver, driving through the streets of Oakland, the suburbs of Oakland County.
Yep.
My four-door beige Escort with my Domino's sign on top. If I was in a real hurry, I would turn the sign off so nobody would know that I was with Domino's and just haul tail.
Do you remember when Domino's when somebody would order drinks, it wasn't bottled drinks back then. Remember it was the paper cups, and you had to put pop in it and ice in it, and then you had to put the piece of plastic over it. Do you remember that from your Domino's?
No, we had Coke. We were selling Coke products at Domino's in those days, and we would just grab glass bottles and throw. We would grab a glass. I would grab not only a bottle for the customer, but also one for myself from time to time, full disclosure. And thank you to all my high school buddies who I played football with that would order a pizza from time to time with the wrong address. So when I brought it back, myself and my fellow staff delivery men and women could have free pizza. Thank you very much.
There you go.
There's a secret to all the pizza owners out there. Sorry, Mikey. Mikey's Pizza. I love Mikey's Pizza and Hal and Whittemore. No better pizza up there. So
See, now
Mikey's Pizza.
Yes.
In Whittemore and Hal.
Now, in the Kalamazoo
Shameless
area,
plug.
our Domino's in Kalamazoo, when you would order drinks with your pizza, they would bring you, it would be like, 4 cups, and they were, 12-ounce cups. They were the paper cups, and they would put the pop in, and they'd put ice in, and then they'd cover it with a piece of plastic cellophane. And by the time they delivered it from the store, maybe they had a couple other deliveries. By the time you got it, the ice was already melted, and it was all super watery, and it was Pepsi. They had Pepsi products back then. I remember that because my mom used to bowl on Tuesday nights, and I always ordered Domino's pizza and got pizza and pop, and those pops were the worst. But, that's what you did back in the 1980s. You ordered
Yeah, one of my
Domino's
other
pizza like that.
memories of delivering pizzas, there's so many of them, but so back in those days, this was before conveyor ovens. So if you go to a pizza place,
okay, yep.
they're going to put your pizza in a conveyor oven.
Yep.
Takes about, I think, if I recall, about 7 minutes in that oven. But
Sounds about
typically
right.
the old time ovens, I don't even want to say old time because the best way to cook a pizza is in a brick stove made out of brick and whatnot, like the right way, the New York, the Chicago, the Philly way. How you doing, Craig?
How you
That
doing?
way,
How you
How you
doing?
doing? The Philly way, the accent there.
Yeah.
Was that a Philly accent?
No, it's a New York accent. It's New York.
Okay.
It's New York.
But anyhow, when we switched from those old ovens that you had to just pull down to the conveyor,
Right.
no longer were my forearms burnt. Sometimes I got put on the ovens, make sure I pop the bubbles so
Yep.
the pizza comes out looking like a pizza. Check the bottom. but I can't tell you how often, folks, I would burn my wrist and it would just get,
Well, didn't they have the long pizza paddles you could pull the pizza out with?
The ovens weren't that deep, so
okay.
Yeah. So, but anyhow,
that's still
Craig,
when you're getting pizza these days. That's still the best place. You go to you find an older place in an older neighborhood somewhere, and they've got one of those old style pizza ovens. That's the best. That's where you're going to get good pizza from.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, here's some other real quick minimum wages that are remaining the same in 2021.
Okay.
Alabama, Attorney Matt Green State, $7.25.
Ah, that's
Georgia,
terrible. That's
Peach
terrible.
State, $7.25.
Terrible. That's
Hawaii minimum wage. Hawaii
How
that
could you-
charges everybody quadruple if you ever travel there, which I never have.
Yeah.
I don't want to fly that far. I'll get on a boat. $10 an hour.
Okay, but still, how in the world could
What
you
about
survive?
Idaho?
Idaho, I'm going to guess is $8.90 an hour, something like that.
$7.25. Weird. A little movie trivia. Napoleon Dynamite was filmed, folks. How's that for trivia? That one goes out to Bo, Danny, and Chad up there. My brothers up there.
Okay.
So they know who they are. Yep. Big shout out to them. Indiana, $7.25. Iowa, $7.25. The great state of Kentucky. We love Kentucky. What a beautiful state. Great people in Kentucky. $7.25.
I'm sensing a pattern here, and I'm not going to say what I think the pattern is, but sure seems like there's some states in particular that they're all tied together. I'm not going to say it, but they're all tied together that all have really low minimum wages, and there's some states that have much higher ones, and they're all kind of tied together too. That's all I'm going to say.
Okay, I'm going to respectfully disagree and not go there. But I will tell you.
I'm just saying that.
Hey, Virginia comes in at almost $10 an hour, $9.50.
All right.
So South Dakota's at $9.45.
Yep.
We talked about Ohio, Oregon. But yeah, New Mexico, $10.50.
What's New York?
New York. The state of New York comes in at $12.50.
Okay.
Well, there's a lot of service people there, and rent is really high in New York. So that should be like $25 an hour.
Yeah, it's expensive to live there.
And you know what used to piss me off? You deliver a pizza to somebody and they don't tip you. Come on, man. Seriously.
Come on.
Seriously.
Come on, man.
Whomever you're working for is not paying for your gas.
No.
So you got to cover your own gas there. So tip your sub delivery drivers. How about all the food companies now that are out there?
Yeah.
I'm
a lot
old,
of them,
I don't even know what they are. But
like DoorDash and Grubhub and all those, they build
these men and women.
that tip gets built in right into the price. So that's at least a good thing too. So, hey Todd, we've got to take a break. The last segment of the Todd L. Levitt Law Show is coming up. I don't know if we have anything more to get to when it comes to minimum wage stuff, but we will handle it.
Minnesota
after this. Okay, Minnesota.
$10, Minnesota.
Okay, we'll be right back.
All right. Welcome back to the Todd L. Levitt Law Show, where if you're in a state out there, anywhere in the United States, and you're looking to make minimum wage, well, I mean, some states are increasing minimum wage, others are remaining the same. But personally, I think it should go up somewhat. I'm not sure how high it should be in each state, but from someone that used to make minimum wage, it'd be tough. It'd be tough.
It would be the federal minimum wage is what should go up, because I'm telling you, try and survive on $7.25 an hour. You couldn't do it. You could not.
No,
I don't even know of a single
people
person
out of work right now.
I know.
Look, things are going to get back to. Things are coming back though, folks. Look.
Yeah.
Listening positive here.
Yeah.
You know, we are a great country and we are resilient, and things are going to come back.
We're turning the corner. We're turning the corner.
We are turning the corner. Yep.
We certainly are. We certainly are turning the corner. Hey, this is the before Christmas show. The next show we do will be after Christmas. Have you gotten all your Christmas shopping done there, Todd? Are you all ready to
Haven't
go?
even started, Craig Russell.
Neither
I told
have I.
you last week I'm
Neither
giving
have
out
I.
gift certificates from as many restaurants as we'll take them. But I want
There
to
you
wish
go.
everybody a Merry Christmas because
Yes.
this is our show before Christmas.
That's right, and a happy holiday and all that kind of good stuff.
Yeah,
And,
Merry Christmas. To
Are you got any big plans with the family? You guys doing anything for Christmas this year? Or?
We have a tree up. We have ornaments.
Okay.
We have a few presents. But we're just going to be kicking back, chillaxing. Maybe doing some snowshoeing on Christmas Eve. That's what we're going to
okay.
be doing. Some
Well, that's
snowshoeing.
awesome.
I like to get out there and snowshoe.
Do you guys do you have any kind of Christmas Eve traditions, like you get to open one present on Christmas Eve and the rest on Christmas morning, or anything like that?
No, I mean, again, everybody's older. And,
Sure.
yeah, you know, we just open presents all week leading up to it. I can't take it. If I know there's a present under a tree for me, I got to work it. I have to slowly, and I'm ordered not to touch the box. Don't shake it. Don't pick it up. You can't feel how heavy it is. You can't shake it. And in my family, you know, if it's a hand-sized present, it's going to be in a box the size that a bike could fit in. So everything is always not what it appears to be, Craig.
Nothing about that statement shocks me at all, that you can't wait till Christmas. I mean,
how many of us out there agree with me? Even when you were a kid, or do your kids do that? They want to shake the box, feel how heavy it is, Craig.
Yep. They have no patience either, you know. That's exactly.
I got a present for you.
Do you really?
I do.
What do I want to do? I want to know what it is.
You can ask.
Okay. What do you
Since
get?
we're not going to be on until after Christmas.
That's true. So what do you get me?
I've got a trip paid for in full. Transportation.
All right.
Transportation. Okay.
Okay.
To a cardiologist to give you a health check from all those fast food shows you've been doing all year.
Look.
So that's Todd's Christmas present to Craig, is a trip to the cardiologist.
Now I know you give me
Dr. Ellen Cohey in town here.
I know you give me a hard. I know you.
Outstanding cardiologist or doctor.
I know you give me a hard time about all this, but I'll tell you, I just had a checkup with my diabetes doctor last week, and everything is fine. Okay. Cholesterol was at like 122, so everything is good. So just know that.
That's not what your arteries told me the other day in complete confidence.
My
It didn't want
arteries
me to
were
mention
lying.
anything to you.
Arteries were lying to you, Todd. That's what I'm going to say. So,
Hey, we didn't give enough love today to Platinum Punch, and that one goes out to AZ, JJ, G Money, and everyone out there. Big shout out to Consano Dispensary. Each and every week, I give a big shout out to Consano, located right here in downtown Mount Pleasant. Great, that's my number one destination there. But all the dispensaries, all the men and women fighting the good fight, all the patients out there who are now getting the care they need, and we wish everybody, a healthy Merry Christmas, and going into the new year, things are going to get better for sure.
How can they not? When you hit rock bottom, the only thing they can do is
There's
go
nowhere
up.
to go but up.
That's exactly correct.
But I don't know how many people out there have not known somebody at this point who either has COVID, had COVID, and even worse, and again
has passed away from it. Yep, exactly.
Yeah, definitely. And our prayers will always be there for those people.
That's right.
But with this time next year, we'll definitely be in a different place, if not a heck of a lot sooner.
Hopefully a lot sooner. I hate to break the news.
I want to go to a football game. I want to go to a game.
Same here. That's exactly right. I want to
go to the movie theater.
Yep. I want to go to the mall and not have to worry about whether or not somebody is going to sneeze on me and I'm going to have problems. That's what I want to.
I just want restaurants to open up again tomorrow.
Yes. Todd, I hate to break.
They are open. So
hate to break the news to you, but Santa's at the door. We got to get going. Show's over.
Come on, Craig.
No.
What are you talking about?
Not me. Come on, Santa. Come on,
Santa. Hey, Craig. Shall we play some bluegrass going out for our Christmas show? The Dead. Okay, so folks, this group was brought to my attention from my firstborn Rachel, the Dead South. And the song is titled In Hell, I'll Be Good. And if you like banjos and country music and bluegrass.
Americana. Yep.
Yeah, I love that music, you know. Craig, what do you say? Should we take him out with some Dead South?
We will do that.
Folks, we're not here for a long time. What are we here for, Craig?
We're here for a good time. Merry Christmas.
Make it a healthy time. Merry Christmas, everyone.
Shed cream be my squeeze. The stage smells, tells, hells, bells, misspells, knocks me on my knees. It didn't hurt, flirt, blood, squirt, stuffed shirt like me on a tree. After I count down 3 rounds in hell, I'll be in good company.
The Todd L. Levitt Law Show, brought to you by Chad Malley Well Drilling of Rosebush, Clark Modular Homes, your most experienced and trusted builder in Mount Pleasant, and attorney Todd L. Levitt, not just a litigator, he's an advocator.
Opinions expressed on this radio program do not necessarily reflect the views of this radio station.